Welcome to a video called Scatterplots 3. It is on how to perform an exponential regression on the TI Inspire. To look at how to perform a linear regression, please view Scatterplots 2. And to see a more extensive video on how to enter the data and graph a scatterplot, please view Scatterplots 1. So today, in examining exponential regression, we're going to be looking at example 7 from section 3 of chapter 6 of Big Ideas Algebra 1, where we are looking at the data regarding the temperature of a cup of hot coffee and how the temperature decreases over time. So we're going to start by creating a spreadsheet of the data. And as you saw in an earlier video, we need to do that by going to our main screen. We can do either New Document Spreadsheet or use our spreadsheet icon here. We're going to go ahead and enter our data. So I'm going to pause the video in a second, and I want you to go ahead and pause yourself as well. Enter all the data from this table of values. Alright, welcome back. You can see I've entered my data into my spreadsheet, all 9 rows of it, from 0 to 8 in the time category. Notice also I've put the titles in the top row, and I decided, instead of writing out the whole word temperature, since it's long, just to write temp for short. You can really write anything you want in that title as long as you use that later and we're doing the regression in the scatterplot. You got to remember those titles that you've used. So I decided to use the word temp again instead of temperature for short. I want to then go ahead and graph this data. So I'm going to insert a graphs page. Again, inserting a graphs page. And I want to do a scatter plot and not a function. So I need to go to Menu, Graph Entry, Scatter plot. And here's where I need to remember what I titled at the top, in which case I did time and temp instead of temperature for short. I know I typed the right thing because it turned bold. I hit enter. My data doesn't display. It's not in this window. So I'm going to change my window with my really great zoom data feature, which brings all the data into one window for me to be able to view it. Now here's where we're going to be doing an exponential regression. We need to go back to our spreadsheet. We go to Menu, Statistics, Stat Calculations, and I want to do an exponential regression. So that is option A. In my X list, that's my X values. In this case, I call them time. So in my drop-down tab, I'm going to choose time. My Y values were temperature, or temp for short. Everything else stays the way it is, and I hit OK. Here is my regression information. Notice they've even included the formula there, A times B to the power of X. Without X written as the exponent as it should be, it's all just in one line, just for short. Here I can see my A value, which is my Y-intercept, is 173.9523. If you need to remember about how to do a rounding and setting it to 4 decimal places, look at the changing settings video, or you can review that in earlier scatterplots videos. So I see my A, my B is my factor of 0.9, R squared is my coefficient of determination, and R is my correlation coefficient. From my correlation coefficient, I can see I have a strong negative correlation. From R squared, because it is so close to 1, I know it is a very accurate data. The graph, that is to say the function, is a very good fit for the data. So I've got my great function here. That's all wonderful, but I would like to see it graphed. So I'm going to return to my graphing screen. And on my graphing screen, I'm going to go to Menu, and I want to graph again. So I need to do graph entry function, since it was switched to a scatter plot earlier. Now if you remember, it automatically enters it into your function. So you need to arrow up and down till you see your f1 of x, and then hit enter, and it will graph it for you. The last part of this video now is to answer the question they asked us in the word problem. We have done our calculator, we've found the function, we've plotted the data, we've graphed the function. Now I want to predict the temperature of the coffee after 10 minutes. So 10 minutes I know is an X value, so I want to predict the temperature after 10 minutes. I'm going to go back to my calculator here, and I want to use the evaluating function. Remember that we can do that by inserting a page, a calculator, and my function is f1 of x. So I type in f, then 1, parentheses. Instead of x, I'm going to put 10. And it's going to tell me, okay, after 10 minutes, I have a temperature of 60.86 or 89 or 87 degrees Fahrenheit. So round it the way the directions tell you to. Perhaps round up to 61 if they tell you to do that. But this is our temperature after 10 minutes. And that is how we do an exponential regression.